Welcome to Aging Well Podcast. It's a podcast series that focuses on raw, unfiltered conversation on aging. So let's get into it.
Second episode with Lo, and we had a really good fun on the first episode, so we thought we were going to do a second one and unpack some of the areas that we are all facing. A bit of anxiety. We're going to unpack some of our personal views. We're going to unpack our experiences with the current transition, as well as, of course, our main is to talk about our folks at home, our parents. That way, everyone will know our shared pain and people can relate to it. So, without further ado, let's hit it. So, Lorraine, what should we talk about today? We were talking
Well, supported homes coming up Saturday. Very exciting. Tight deadlines. And, I guess there's a lot of frustration everywhere. We're feeling it from our providers. As you know, we're an associated provider. So I honestly can't complain too much because, we're just kind of in a position where we're just being told what to do. Jump 3 meters high, we'll jump 3 meters high. Move to the left, we're going to move to the left. So we're just trying to make it as easy as possible for providers like you guys, all our partners, because we know there's way more pain on your side than there is on ours.
But then you guys also have a massive pain because you're kind of like relying on your partners and completely have to have full trust, right? Because there's so many
absolutely. And there's a lot of stuff coming in last minute. So even today, I've been receiving new service agreements, and I expect that up until the 30th, even maybe the 31st, I will be still getting new service agreements being sent through that I have to sign off and read and have notarized and back by 5 p.m. on the 31st. So
and the thing is, like, it may happen well and truly inside November as well. By the look of it, the more information comes with you want to know whether it impacts the service agreement, and of course the providers will send out packs to the associate providers with further amendments, and it will have an impact on your side of business too.
Totally. I'm totally expecting variations and revised contracts come through over the next 2 months or so. I will say this though, I have had to ring quite a few people just to clarify points or to let them know that we can't meet a certain deadline and just returning a contract, for example, or I just didn't quite understand what this section meant. And everybody has been so wonderfully nice and patient. I reckon I've probably rung about 8 or 9 providers, and each phone call I've had with them, everybody's been so patient. They've been so lovely to spend time. I really get this feeling, this camaraderie feeling that everybody is in the same boat. So I do want to just comment to the industry that it's a nice, kind of place to be, that we're all kind of just working together and not kind of taking it out on each other.
Nice. I think the entire industry, and I actually made a video about it and I didn't release it yet. Timing it.
I look forward to it.
It's a little short clip, like a minute clip. It's like the things that I do for socials, right? It's basically, supported home is far from perfect. With any new funding, especially a funding level at this speed, it is far from perfect. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody, including my team, those who are actually engaged in transition. All these project teams across the nation, who are, regardless of their personal opinion, regardless of industry heavyweights' personal opinion, of the advocacy groups who are coming out and really putting a lot of fire in the messaging in the industry. This group of people who are transitioning it at the moment, no one actually recognizes them or says, hey man, you're doing a fucking good job. Sorry for the word. You're doing a massive job, and you're going above and beyond to make things right for those who are at the end of this stick, which is the care recipient, the participants. Their life doesn't get interrupted. It is an uninterrupted service. They wake up and as if nothing changed.
And that's a really beautiful thing. I actually said at a conference recently that together, if we unite, we can uplift the aged care sector into this beautiful, thriving industry. And I think that, you know, someone I saw talk, I can never remember her name, Shilpa Jose from Churches of Christ. She also said in her session, aged care cannot fail. It just can't fail. It's too big. But there are going to be some measures of success, and the way that we go about it will be a real measure on the satisfaction that people have, the longevity of it, you know, the less complaints we get. And I think just calling out on those people that you've shouted out to as well, all those people on the front line, you know, they're doing it for our future of aged care. And isn't it incredible?
Finance teams, the marketing teams, the operational teams, the associate providers, it is heavy on everyone. There's no one can say like, oh, I'm having a really easy day to transition to this program. It is just right before just to give everyone a bit of a review, we two were engaging in a conversation right before this podcast. We hit the record button that how are you guys handling it? How are we handling it? Right. The partnership level is, like you said, like you spoke to 8 or 9 partners of your organization, and everyone is so nice to deal with. Everyone is so understanding and have so much patience, because none of these things are within our control. We can only control what we can control.
Truth. That's a life statement too, isn't it?
Yeah. I have adapted to that for quite some time now. Like, I mean, basically, it's part and parcel of who I am. You control what you can control. Things that you can't control, there's no point going over it over and over again. You're going to drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely insane. You just got to find out what's the best way to navigate each of these uncontrollable situations, and then break it down into little pieces. And then, you know, you just have to sometimes pat yourself on the back and pat everyone on the back, like, hey, thanks for taking that one step towards.
Yeah,
you know
I agree. And I think to that point, these next couple of months are also going to be, just to go back a little bit, change is always hard. Change is hard for everyone, especially kids, especially your parents. You know, it's no more easier for adults as for any adult, right?
Absolutely.
And so there's always going to be this rocky period where, particularly when you've got big change or change, you know, coming from a sector, you know, that you're going to have to like roll with the punches a little bit. You're going to have to feel what works, feel what doesn't work. And I guess, you know, something that I would encourage everyone to do, which I'm sure a lot of people are, but funnel and filter your voice into the advocating bodies. I read a wonderful piece by Roland Nafol this morning, who's the CEO of Inbox, which is the home care body. And I would really encourage everyone just to look at the bottom of his article, and it gives you like just a couple of steps, really simple steps on what to do if you're finding that you're not prepared or needing some focus and clarity and guide for over the next few months. He's just literally written like a couple of points in one-liners with a little bit of information for each, and it's great. And one of the things is, you know, do your best to mitigate risks, but wherever there is an issue, write it down, note it down, write it down, you know, create volume in that data, and find the right people or person to submit that to, because that feedback is going to be so valuable, you know, for this change, so that we can make this better. Because there are a lot of issues. Let's face it. There's a lot of drama going on.
Look, the thing is, in anything in this magnitude, we'll always have dramas, whether we like it or not. I genuinely believe we can never make everybody happy, but there's things that we can certainly work towards and improve towards. And the only way to know, like, okay, right now, all right, it's here. There's no point thinking, like, one of the key things is co-contribution, right? I personally don't like it. I think means tested thing was actually fine. We have participants or clients who I know for a fact will not be able to pay that, right?
I think as well, yeah, to your point, like, it's the idea of it is fair, I think personally, it's my opinion, I think it's quite fair. But what I'm really concerned about is, you know, the logistics of it. And I don't understand how providers are going to be collecting debt. Now they have to learn how to do that and do it on an individual basis with your clients who you've got these wonderful relationships with. I think it's just like going to be an ick conversation that you have. And I think we've spoken about this before, you know, what are people going to do? Are they going to absorb that debt? Is the government going to step in and assist with this? And you're right, like that piece, I don't think has been executed very well in terms of the way
and
that
the thing is, like, this is the beauty of it, right? And that's why I always look into it in a way like, okay, this is not perfect, we know that, right?
Yeah.
But if I continuously think about it, we're going to drive ourselves insane. We won't be sleeping. The messaging that we're going to send out to the communities and to everybody, it's going to stress everybody else, because I'm stressed out. When you're stressed out, you're going to stress everybody else out.
Yeah. And your messaging is going to have that stench of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to deal with this is like, all right, let's roll this out. Let's look into the data, what's happening, present data. Right? Present data to the advocacy groups. Aging Australia, one of the leading advocates in this industry. Give it to them, because like, guys, should we band together and then make a case? Like, hey, should we look into this? Should we do something about it? You can actually start having really smart conversations when you start producing data. It's like, okay, we got 10,000 clients or participants. Let's say 3,000 cannot pay. What are we going to do about it? The 3,000 people defaulting payment, for an example, right? Or what are we going to do about it? So the more data we're going to have, it's going to be better for the industry overall.
Oh, absolutely. Right. So, you know, I think that's if we could give one message just in that part of it, like feedback is going to be so important. So like record data where possible, encourage all your care managers to do that, you know, anyone that can, and just pile it into one, you know, document or a spreadsheet, and make sure that that goes out to either organisations like Inbox, Aging Australia, you know, your head management if they're heavily involved and have the seat at those important tables. Just get that data out.
And it needs to come from the associate providers, everyone who is involved in the industry, right? Everyone's like, so because you guys are inside the house, how are they feeling, right? Take that messaging across to the providers. Providers will reach out to the associate providers with the feedback questionnaires like, hey, we know your staffs are inside the house. How are they feeling, or what are they seeing different than what we are not capturing, right? It's a different relationship, because if I engage an associate provider in a location or with, let's say, a group of clients, they don't know me. They know me, but they don't know me just the way they know the staff member who comes to their home, right? So really drive data from the industry and then look into that, like, okay, what is the true meaning of this change and where we need to improve. I think you're right. Like, I totally agree with you. Feedback is going to be super important. It's going to be one of the key tools to, and I believe those data will form a base for anything that we are going to improve over the course of next 12 to 15, 24 months. It may take ages. And communication. One of the key things is communication. We need to communicate with our participants. Right? I think that's going to be a key piece. So how are you guys finding it as an associate provider? I'm interested to know that part.
Like I said, I mean, I think for us, it's not nearly as dramatic as it definitely is for registered providers. We absolutely don't have nearly as many hoops that we need to run by, and we're more just following what our providers need in order to get them ready. So if we can kind of take on those sections of it, we're absolutely possible. What we are also trying to do is make sure that rather than you guys having to have your staff out in the field, or if there are issues with, you know, merging with other organisations, or there are significant changes in people's care and care plans, that we can just take over the staffing side of things, because We obviously handle the rostering, we handle absenteeism and replacements, we performance manage. That's what you're paying for. That's the value that you're paying for by using providers like us.
Yeah.
And additionally, we can extend that workforce. So where, for example, if Salveo is only in kind of like inner North Melbourne, we can easily give you workforce in Mornington Peninsula, for example. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important for providers to lean on their associated providers where possible. I had actually heard I was part of an inbox briefing many months ago this year, and they had this beautiful lawyer who was talking, and she was discussing about the new agreements that would come out, both client agreements with any other relationships you might have, and allied health professionals, etc. And I was really interested and saddened that she started to talk about associated providers in particular as like an us and them. And I don't know if that was a wider audience as well, but I really do hope that out there associated providers are bending and are flexible and are allowing the registered providers to operate in a way that is fair for everybody when the partnership comes together and you collaborate, because I wouldn't want either party to feel like they're at the mercy of the other. I think that's like this old shitty stigma, maybe that oh, sorry.
You said something super important, actually. Hello Leaders published an article just about this, I think about 3 days ago.
Really?
That oftentimes, and that article was written from a nursing home perspective, not so much on the home care perspective, that there's a real division, like, oh, this is an agency stuff. You do the hard work. I'm just going to watch you do the hard work.
Yeah, and they'll complain when you don't do it right, and then we're just going to.
And I've seen it firsthand. I have seen it firsthand that how that disparity is there. It exists, whether we like it or not. It exists.
Oh, no, I was really shocked and sad to hear that.
Yeah, it's not shocking. It's not shocking at all. I have actually experienced it.
It's evolved
I've seen
that way.
Yeah. And it actually comes from the leadership teams, right? So we, those who are fortunate enough to sit where we sit, our behavior it's like almost being a parent, right? Your words don't motivate your kids, your actions will.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever you do, they will see that. So if they see you're behaving, you're setting up an attitude, you're creating an environment which is like very toxic in a way, they will follow that culture throughout the organization, because that's who we want that's how we want to lead.
Yeah.
If we create a culture of more collaboration from the top to the bottom, then everyone will work together.
Yes, in harmony.
It's so important. Like, look, you said at the very beginning that everyone should work united. Aged care cannot fail. It is true, it cannot fail, because we're going to be there.
That's right. There's
So who are we kidding?
That's right. People are getting older every day, and from a business perspective, there is enough of pie to go around for everyone.
Absolutely.
And I don't think anybody should ever, I'm going to say something controversial now, but nobody should get into aged care if you want to make money. You're led by money. Don't get into a person-centered sector. It's just as simple as that. I really believe that a big part of the problem is that there are people that are coming in that are not leading with heart. And so, you may have a lot of decisions and activities and, operations that carry on that are very clinical and very sterile, and they need to be automated all the time. And, all of that stuff, operationally and, from a top place, maybe financially, that's great, but from an emotional and person point of view, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I'll say something interesting here, and I'll build a bridge. You need both, right? Either end of you go extreme, you're gonna crash, right? You need both of the elements to work together, and that's where the leaders in each level. I don't just talk about the leaders who has a C in front of their title. Leaders are at each level. The team leaders on the ground are equally important. The residence managers, it is equally important in a home care environment. Your care partners, your rostering team leads. Every leader, you create a leader. You don't create managers. You create leaders after leaders after leaders, so that everyone can lead and transpire that messaging across the whole organization. It's a two-way communication going, right? It's not just a one way, right? Either way you go too finance heavy, you may crash. If you go too care driven, you will probably crash too, because you don't come to that like to make money. It's like money becomes a thing that happens automatic because you're doing great. You're providing care, you're making a good name because you do look after people the way you should be. You treat them with respect and dignity. You create choice, preferences, and you have that harmonious relationship. That is the most ideal situation that I'm referring to here, right?
Yeah, ideal. Yeah.
That is the most ideal situation. And at the same time, you want to ensure, and you can actually create that environment. It's not impossible. There are lots of examples out there. At least from an outside, we can see like, oh, okay, that organization is doing well. Yeah. How do you know this? When clients rocks up and go, I'm really happy here. That's what you want to hear, right? I'm really happy here. I don't need to move. I'm actually fantastic. Staff members comes out and go, oh, I love working there. That's your biggest testimonial. Right?
But if you have a lovely balance of the two, it's like this perfect yin and yang, right? You have a finance, the finance and operational team or leaders who understand the purpose and the why of the business, which is essentially, the values of heart, the values of people, the values of looking after others and care. And I think that if everybody operate under that values, then I think that there will be a hell of a lot of successes in your financial divisions, in your operational divisions.
And you can.
All of that stuff will actually turn easier because problems will get less. I actually did speak about this at a conference recently in Melbourne, and I spoke to about love, the importance of love. It's so critical in aged care organisations, I think, because, like I said, if you understand your true north and your purpose, your values, but everyone in the industry has an equal understanding of that, you should be able to have your finance leaders to say, okay, this is what we have to do, but I know that I can't cut, the resources available to my carers, for example. However, maybe I can cut some meat, some finance meat over here so that, the profit still is manageable. Yeah. And I think that in that sense, then you've got, finance teams and operations teams who are making realistic but care-led decisions, and, and then that kind of works all together. I feel that when that happens, and then it feeds down to carers who are in the field doing the work, they're feeling heard, they're feeling seen, they're feeling supported, and they will then give more of themselves to people. They will give patience, they'll give time, and if they're if they're visiting clients who, where the cultures don't necessarily match initially, they're going to take the time to be patient and enjoy that and maybe learn a little bit about that culture, because they'll have that. They'll want to do that and respect their own company for feeling loved, right? So once you've got that, once you've got that, then the ripple effect is that potentially you've got a lot of happier clients, healthier clients that are living longer, so that when you do have those few that really genuinely have health incidents, there are people available to manage that, So it's, for me, I look at that, and perhaps that's a very simplistic view on things, but I just think that that little piece of love, if that is in there and you pop the key in the lock and you turn that love and open it up for everyone, there's just this beautiful big impact that can really help a business shine.
Absolutely. And like, look, you guys are the true reflection of that, right? So
thank you.
you guys have created that because you guys believe in it.
We absolutely have.
Right? You guys believe in it. I have spoken to one of your workers. She looks after one of our clients. They are a match made in heaven. Actually, I think about 2 or 3 clients are currently utilizing your services, right? And you can see the bond they have, right? And it comes from the top. You start at the top. You
totally does.
You radiate that vibe across the organization, right? Once you start radiating that, everyone who comes into the team, they join because they want to go like, I want to be like you. I want to be with you because my vision aligns with yours. My values aligns with yours. If our values are not aligned, we shouldn't be together. That's
100%.
Pure and simple, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. That should be the way. Should be the way. If you create
and it's so easy to be like that, isn't it, Archie? It's so easy to be like that.
It's not difficult. It is definitely not super easy.
Reworking my words. Okay, yeah.
No. Look, it is easy. It is not difficult because at the end of the day, you're the boss in your organization, right? So you know who you want to hire. You know what type of team you envision it to be. It is completely within your control. That's the element you do control. So if someone who is there is not aligned with your value, you don't want them in your team. It's not being...
And it's obvious, like they stand out as well.
Yeah, they will stand out. And then if you don't fix it, then it will carry on, right? If you reward poor ethics, poor behavior, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to trickle through the entirety of the organization, right?
Yeah.
That's why you talked about that imbalance, that it's you are an associate provider, I am a provider. So I'm the mom, I'm the dad, you come to my home, you follow my rules, which happened in our homes, for example. It's just we grew up for an example, but it doesn't work. It doesn't really work that way. Things actually works really well when you work in collaboration, right? Collaboration always works better, produces better result. Like one stick is easy to break, but if 10 of you are together, it's really difficult to break.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult to snap. If you're just one, easy snap. But if everybody is together, extremely hard, extremely difficult to snap. Yeah.
I love that. So
yeah, you go first.
I'm interviewing you now. We wanted to talk a bit about workforce shortages, and I thought that was a nice segue into it because I know that when we kind of discussed this a little bit outside of this podcast in preparation, and we both had really different views on it. And I'm wondering, especially when it comes to, those cultural connections that you and I really want to advocate to build in the sector. How do you find, as a registered provider, dealing with the workforce shortages? And where is it specifically? Like, what are the workers that you're having issues finding?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking a brilliant question. I actually did not prepare for this. I do know the pain though. I do know the pain because there are areas in Victoria, for an example, we know for a fact there are workforce shortage. Anywhere past Geelong, all the way up to the Adelaide border you go, there are workforce shortage. Now, Tom Simonson, I think he did an interview with Anthony in one of his podcasts, and one of the key things that he said that we need to train our own people, otherwise workforce shortage is going to remain, it's not going to go anywhere. Additionally, about a year and a half ago, I made a comment on LinkedIn on a gentleman named Tim Hicks. He's a general manager, I believe, Bolton Clark. He does quite a good analysis on stuff, and one of the key things that I mentioned in his made a comment that we need to talk about workforce shortage at a grassroots level. The entire globe is growing older, and Australia is getting older as well. I'm getting older, which means in about 20 years' time, how long can we just rely on, oh, we're just going to import talents, right? Yeah, it's good, it's great, it's working now, it's fine. It will also happen 10, 20 years from now. As populations will increase, it will happen. It's natural. But again, we also can, in the long run, we also have to talk about it in a grassroots level, at a school level. What are the importance of having a nursing assistant, personal care workers? It's a pathway. Nursing itself is a great profession. What's the beauty of it? What are the things that you can do as a nurse? Really highlight those things at a grassroots level. And I'm talking about a long-term solution. I'm not talking about a short-term solution. Short-term solution, you tell me. We have a pain. Majority of the industry, majority of the providers have a massive pain. Specifically those who are in the regional setting, they are doing everything they can to retain talent through migration, through skilled visas. They're doing everything.
Through bonuses, through high,
and you know what happens oftentimes? Once people get their permanent residency, they move up to the big cities, for example. Some stays and build a beautiful life. Some moves up to the big cities because the population is heavier in the big cities. And then, naturally, you solve the problem for a few months, few years, and then you're back on the That's the trend that we have seen. And now, think about it, we are servicing past July, and it is tough area to service. Clients and residents are, I wish I could have someone tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, there are people who can go and clean, but they don't work in fire, so you can't really put them there. I'm a big advocate of that. So from my perspective, it doesn't bother me the workforce shortage as much because maybe we think a little bit differently, but we don't need like offers all of a margin, right? How much margin I can have. Let's be honest about it. There's no two ways about it.
No, that's the reality of the business,
the
right?
reality of it is I see people have somebody, let's say, contributory as an employee, there will be better margin. It is true, there will be a better margin, but then you only have 3 months. That person is not going to have 3 months. So,
And that's what we talked about before, right? Like the reality of the operations is, do you then think about your bottom line, or do you try to make it work being person-centered, considering that person's schedule
each provider, every person that it's all about vision, direction, for us, speed was we are successful because we are fast. For us, it's very clear. We will always use an associate provider to give us the work because that's our bread and butter. That's how we have scaled all of our organizations. So yeah, I'm a big believer of that. I do believe in collaboration. look, like I said, I was in the shoes so long ago. We actually own a recruitment agency, right? So our other business, our associate provider to me, we the first time. So why would I now? Basically, you will be biting your own hand, right? You
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
childcare.
Preach.
Period. We have seen horrible news coming out from New South Wales in Sydney, Western Sydney, right? We have seen horrible news coming out of Melbourne, right? Now, the news that are coming out, these are the extreme individuals. These are the extreme cases, right? But there are also cases that happens every day, and it's almost like everyone is desensitized about it, right? Now, I understand that working inside a nursing home may not be as glamorous the way we portray, and there are a lot of great people who are working there, but there are also a group of individuals who are there who are not I don't know how to say this, but
not there for the right reasons, maybe.
It's just, if you're having a bad day, don't go to work that day. That's how I'm just gonna say it that way. If you're having a bad day,
that should just be a natural thing that happens, right?
I have seen an elderly gentleman and basically husband and wife. They were in one of the biggest, very well-known aged care facilities. And I was basically coming out of the main office, and then basically this carer was with the husband, and the wife, she's living with dementia, not very high, but she's living with dementia, and then the husband was basically chasing her, right? I always tell this story. The husband was kind of like, "Hey hon, come back," and this lady came out and goes like swearing at him and saying awful stuff. So I had to stop that person, right? And I was like, dude, like, I'm an outsider and I'm watching this.
Yeah.
It's not very nice the way you're treating this person. Like, oh, you don't work here, you don't know. I was like, yeah, I get it, man. I don't work here, I don't know. I get it.
Yeah.
I get that.
But that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse.
I mean, I get that fact that, okay, he's chasing after her, which can result to a fall, which can result to lots of different IRs and SIRs and whatever, right? All of the red flags, I get it. I understand it. But would I behave like that? No. You can.
And we don't teach our kids to behave like that, do we? And our parents didn't teach us to behave like that.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I don't know how to. If someone goes like, oh no, it doesn't happen in residential, I'm sorry, you're blatantly lying. A lot of things happens. It just doesn't come out. It just doesn't come out, right? It's same thing in childcare. Probably a lot of things happens. We don't know, right? So not everybody is like that, but there are people like that, and I think people should call it out, rightfully so. Like I said, they should be reprimanded. Like, hey, if you do this again or you've been found about this, you're gonna be done. I know we're cutting close to our time, but this is a really, really important thing you mentioned. The experience that your young cousin faced, and oftentimes that is off-putting for a lot of individuals who are young, who we need in this industry to address the workforce shortage. They don't come because they look at it and go like, I don't want to work like this. I don't want to go to an environment like that. I don't want to do this. It's not, first of all, it's not cool to hang out with my granddad. Then I'm going to go to a situation where I see abusive behavior. Yeah. It's not
this also lends to, when you're bringing migrants into those opportunities as well, right? You've got to be able to give them a good experience.
Your camera's working now. Perfect.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
I was just saying that when you have migrants who are also coming into those jobs and roles, part of the incentive to keep them there would be having a good work environment. And absolutely agree that there are separate issues for regional and remote areas in terms of accessibility of facilities, and maybe even at times there's a cultural disconnect still, where they don't have where there may be a language barrier, or even just, little food, their, cultural traditions stuff don't exist in those areas, which would then draw them into metro areas. But I think it's so important that, everybody just plain deserves the right to be treated with respect. That's just a no-brainer. And I think B, that if, you know, part of the issue of attracting people into aged care is the fact that there is a lot of disrespect that operates in it, and disrespect in workload, in, time given to people, being able to be given to people, maybe the training as well, even the environments, all sorts of things. And I think that's the layer that really needs to be peeled back and looked at.
100%. I think, like, look, everything starts at home, a home care or a residential, whatever you call it. At the end of the day, a country, right? Like, everything starts with a grassroots level education, whether they are migrants, new to the country, or 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter how many years, it doesn't define anything really. It defines its humanity. It's built within, right? You don't go to universities and get I'm going to be really nice and caring from tomorrow morning because I got a bachelor in nursing, right? It doesn't work like that. You either have it or you don't.
That's right.
If you don't, don't go to this industry. This is not for you. Period. I think everyone should just come to an understanding. Look, if I'm not loving, caring, maybe I should do something else with my life.
Yeah.
It's that simple, right? You cannot teach someone to be nice and caring with a Cert 3, Cert 4, or a bachelor's, or even a master's degree. I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't, there are plenty of other things.
What we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm
I can't do that. Hang on.
I'm leveled up now. I'm full.
You're cooler than me. You're so much cooler than me.
Oh, I'm full. I don't know how to say it. It's just so cool.
You're so cool, lit, Archie. You're so lit.
Getting. Yes, you need that heart. You need that heart to work in this industry. And, like, look, I am completely on par with you. We need education, training. Basically, those who are creating organizations, or we have created organizations, and through our words, we should really look inside our home. We don't need to go and fix everybody outside. We should really look inside our home, whether our house is in order. It requires that education from the house leaders, from the parents, to basically go, hey, this is not an acceptable behavior. What is acceptable? What is not acceptable? Teach them about kindness, because kindness goes a long way.
Yeah.
Look, if you talk about finance and kindness, they're both very related. If you make a really good name, money comes into the door. It doesn't go away. It actually comes.
Yeah.
It actually comes. If you do well, if you do good enough jobs and people are talking about you because you're doing a brilliant work and you're bending backwards to make sure things are working okay, and you're treating everyone with love, respect, and dignity, money will come.
Absolutely, it will.
You don't have to go and make everything about money. Money comes. Behavior, like, I totally agree with you. More training, more learning. Industry leaders, less complaining. We should really look into, like, okay, how do we make this more of a place to thrive? Right? We can do more. We can certainly do more. This is not an industry, like I said, like, it's like childcare, right? We can't neglect childcare. We can't neglect aged care, because these are our child and we are going there. These are very personal, extremely personal, right? We can't put our kids into a crappy childcare because they're our kids. We can't create an industry which is, like, it's a beautiful industry, but we have to say those really difficult. We have to look into each other's eyes and go, let's be honest with each other. We have some questionable things here, right? We gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where change happens, when you know yourself that, I got some shortcomings. I need to do better.
Yeah, that growth piece. And aren't we all just growing? We're growing.
Absolutely.
All the time,
growth mindset. Growth mindset. I've always said it. Growth mindset is so important for our industry, because at the end of the day, me and you, we're talking about us in 20 years time.
100%. Yeah.
Right. All righty, Lo. It was a brilliant episode. Not as this is a very serious episode, in fact. Right.
It got serious.
Like, very important topics. Very, I believe, some topics are very touchy, very controversial, but I believe this is a platform which we can use to actually tap into the truth factor, tap into the being uncomfortable is a place of growth, and we can have these kind of conversations here and really, really get everyone together. Maybe, let's talk about what's uncomfortable and how we can fix those things that are kind of not broken, but we can do better.
No, I agree. I love it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. It was lovely as usual. Maybe we'll do a third one.
Maybe.
We'll definitely do. We'll do a third one. All right.
Oh, great. Three's a charm, right?
All right. Yes. Thank you, Lo. Take care. You have a splendid day.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye-bye.